Hello friends, family, and internet strangers, Stephanie here, and today I've got a new Crockpot video for you as part of the ongoing Crockpot Palooza collaboration the last Wednesday of every month for the rest of the year, hosted by Tiffany over at Small Town 6 and Jessica Myros. I will have both of their channels linked below, as well as the playlist where you can get even more Crockpot slow cooker inspiration. This meal that I am making, or this several meals, starts with one base crockpot recipe that is so easy. It is only 2 ingredients. And you just put them in the crock pot and that's it. So I'm going to show you 3 different ways that I used this simple crock pot chicken. This base recipe is so easy that if I were just to show you this chicken itself being cooked, this video would be over by now. So I used frozen chicken straight out of the freezer and a jar of salsa, and I put it in the crock pot for 3 hours on high heat. I set the timer for 4, but mine cooks chicken so quickly that I cannot do this on a work day. Even if I put it on low, it will be so overcooked by the time I get home that it's like a chewy consistency. So I had to do this on a day off, or I believe I may have even done this at night, preparing it for the next day. This is great to meal prep because you can use it for multiple things. Now, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Stephanie, and I hope you'll consider sticking around. I do what's for dinner videos, I do cooking content, and I do the occasional travel content, road trips, and I also have a trip to Ireland that will be posted in the next month or two. So I don't like leftovers. If you stick around, you'll learn that very quickly. I am not a fan of leftovers, and I have to find different ways to use things. Otherwise, my food is going to go to waste, especially if I cook in a larger batch versus only doing maybe 1 breast of chicken and a little bit of salsa, which I could have done if I had frozen my chicken the way I normally do, which is as single breasts of chicken. Now, once this was cooked at the 3-hour mark, be sure to check your chicken before you just think it's cooked. Make sure it's that internal temp of 165 Fahrenheit. I just shredded mine up with a little meat chopper. And then the first way that I used this was to do this with enchiladas. So I had this enchilada sauce that had been sitting in my pantry for a long time, and I have not gotten around to making enchiladas. I also had a little bit of refried beans that had been sitting around on my cabinet in my pantry, all that jazz, for a long time. So this was finally an excuse to use all of this up. I had also had that salsa that I used for a long time. So this is very much a pantry clean out type recipe that I did right here. I got rid of a bunch of stuff that I had been needing to use up. So I got some whole wheat tortillas from Aldi. I spread my chicken right down on there. I added cheese. You could add sour cream to the mixture if you'd like. I just added my sour cream on top of my enchiladas. I roll them up. I put them into that bottom layer of enchilada sauce, and I made 3 of these because I thought, okay, this will make me 2 meals. I'll have 1.5 of these little enchiladas with each meal. And honestly, I should have made an entire pan because I did not mind the leftovers of this at all. Soaking in that sauce in the refrigerator, it was so good. It was honestly even better the second night than it was the first night. So highly recommend making a bunch of these because this will definitely please a family if you are cooking for a family. And if you're cooking for yourself, you might want these leftovers. So I just repeat the process until I've got all of these rolled up. And then I add the rest of my can of enchilada sauce right over the top. Then I'm going to sprinkle some cheese on here. I am using a taco seasoning blend cheese, just one of those prepackaged shredded cheeses that you get from the grocery store. You can use whatever cheese you have on hand. If you just have cheddar, if you have pepper jack, that would work fine as well. And then when I put this in the oven, since all the chicken is fully cooked, I really just needed to heat it through because I had made it the night before this, and also make sure my cheese melted. I did this at 350 for about 25 minutes, and it was perfect. Now with this, I made a can of refried beans, and one of the things I love about YouTube is learning other people's ways that they make things, because I get great hacks like this. I love my refried beans to be a little bit looser, and I believe it's Megan over at Megan's Kitchen who on her channel will add a little bit of milk to the can of refried beans. That was so good. Such a great hack, so highly recommend. I'll have her channel down below in the description box because she's one of my favorite YouTubers to watch. So if you're not already following Megan over at Megan's Kitchen, you should be. Also, just curious, does anyone else keep large quantities of mild taco sauce from Taco Bell? Because I know they sell it by the jar now, but I have always had a collection of my unused packets. So I just use 3 packets in my beans as well. This is what my enchiladas looked like when they came out of the oven. I had a little bit of sour cream on top. I also put a little bit of cheese on top of my beans, and I served it with this chipotle corn blend that also really needed to be used up. That had been in my fridge for, I'm going to say, close to a year. I think I got that last fall. So I have been really trying to clean out the pantry lately. The next night, after I finished my leftovers of my enchiladas, I did not feel like putting a bunch of effort into dinner, so I simply took some of the leftover salsa chicken, added some cheese and sour cream on top, and ate it in a bowl. You could do this with rice. You could do this with sweet potatoes. I was going to do this with sweet potatoes and corn, but then I had an epiphany while I was grocery shopping, and I thought about the video that Mel over at In the Kitchen with Mama Mel posted this past weekend, and I will link that video and her channel before. She is also one of my favorite YouTubers to watch. So she did a casserole video that was 4 chicken casseroles. One of them was a chicken cornbread casserole, and when she made it, she was talking about how it would probably be good to do a Tex-Mex style where you use the Martha White's cornbread mix and then maybe add some taco seasoning type stuff to your chicken mixture. And I thought, oh my gosh, that sounds so good. And today when I was shopping, I was in the baking aisle and I saw that cornbread mix and realized I can use my salsa chicken leftovers and just throw the rest of them in a casserole, because by this point, yeah, I was getting a little tired of the salsa chicken. The leftovers definitely needed to be revamped. So the modifications that I made to the recipe that she posted, I don't like cream of mushroom soup, so instead of cream of mushroom and cream of chicken, I used the cheddar cheese Campbell's soup and the cream of chicken soup. And then I added my salsa chicken. I added some of that taco blend cheese that I still had left, and I mixed all of that together and then poured it into a greased baking dish. This was a lot because I still had so much of that chicken left that I used a 9x13 baking dish. If you don't have quite as much chicken mixture as I do, you could probably use a smaller dish and have thicker cornbread. For the cornbread, as I mentioned, it was that Martha White Mexican style cornbread. Got that in the baking aisle at the grocery store. I added 1 can of cream corn to it and then 1 egg, and I added approximately 1/3 of a cup of sour cream. That's what the recipe calls for. I didn't want to dirty a measuring cup. And then I just put in the rest of the creamed corn because I'm all about not dirtying many dishes. This is the same bowl that I had mixed the casserole mixture in, and I rinsed it out afterwards and used the same bowl so I wouldn't have to dirty multiple dishes. So I waited until after my sour cream and poured the rest of the cream corn in with that same spoon, so I didn't have to worry about getting it in the rest of the sour cream dish there. And then added more cheese into that. That was not in the recipe at all, but I really love cheese, so I added more into that cornbread mixture. And I did miss a step. It wasn't intentional. I forgot about it. I should have added melted butter to this. Honestly, it didn't need it. I didn't miss it. I just looked back at the recipe and realized, oh, I forgot to do that. At that point, it was already in the oven. It was too late, but it didn't matter because this was delicious. I baked it at 400 for about 45 minutes, and that's when my cornbread was all done. and I just served this with a side salad. I had some chopped romaine, a little bit of bell peppers, some carrots, and a little ranch on top, and this was definitely a tasty meal. Thank you so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed this video and got some inspiration for meals of your own. Now, don't forget, this is part of a collab, so there is an entire playlist. And if you were here from the playlist, thank you so much for stopping by. Leave a comment down below and let me know that you're here from the playlist. And I hope you'll consider sticking around, hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching.